The room was quiet for just a moment, an almost surreal pause before something extraordinary unfolded. 7 global icons sat together, not on a concert stage filled with roaring fans, not beneath dazzling stadium lights, but in a minimalist studio where curiosity itself took center stage. BTS, the phenomenon that has redefined global pop culture, had arrived at Wired to do something deceptively simple: answer the internet's most searched questions about themselves. Yet nothing about BTS is ever truly simple. As the cameras began rolling, there was an electric tension in the air, not the kind that screams chaos, but the kind that whispers anticipation. Millions of fans across the world had typed questions into search bars, driven by fascination, admiration, and an insatiable curiosity about the 7 men who had become more than just artists. They had become a movement, a symbol, a voice, and now, one by one, those questions would be answered. The first thing that struck viewers wasn't just their presence, it was their authenticity. Kim Namjoon, known as RM, leaned forward with a thoughtful gaze, his demeanor calm yet commanding. Beside him, Kim Seokjin carried his signature blend of humor and elegance, occasionally flashing that worldwide handsome smile that fans adore. Min Yoongi sat quietly observant, his sharp eyes hinting at a mind always processing, always reflecting. Jung Hoseok radiated warmth and energy, his presence instantly lighting up the room. Park Jimin brought a soft charisma that felt both comforting and captivating. Kim Taehyung exuded a unique charm, unpredictable yet magnetic. And finally, Jeon Jungkook, the youngest, sat with a quiet confidence that hinted at the evolution from boy to global superstar. The questions began: who is BTS? A simple question. But the answer? Anything but simple. RM took the lead, his voice steady as he explained that BTS stands for Bangtan Sonyeondan, meaning Bulletproof Boy Scouts. It's a name that symbolizes resilience, standing strong against the criticisms and expectations that society often imposes. But as he spoke, it became clear that BTS had grown beyond any single definition. They were no longer just Boy Scouts or even just a group. They were storytellers, innovators, and, in many ways, mirrors reflecting the hopes and struggles of a generation. The conversation flowed naturally, laughter breaking out as members chimed in with their own perspectives. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't scripted. It was real, and that's what made it powerful. Another question appeared: how did BTS become famous? The room shifted slightly. There was a shared understanding among the members, a recognition of the long journey behind that seemingly simple question. Suga leaned forward this time, his tone honest and unfiltered. He spoke about the early days, the uncertainty, the relentless effort. The countless hours in practice rooms, the small stages, the skepticism they faced. J-Hope added with a bright smile that it was passion, pure, unwavering passion, that kept them going. But then Jungkook spoke, and the atmosphere softened. It was ARMY, he said simply. That one word carried weight. It wasn't just a fandom name, it was a bond, a relationship that had fueled BTS's rise. The fans who streamed their songs, shared their stories, defended them, and grew alongside them. The fans who turned 7 young men from Seoul into global icons, and suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just a story about BTS. It was a story about connection. As more questions appeared, the layers of BTS began to unfold. Who writes BTS songs? RM smiled, almost shyly, as he explained the group's deep involvement in their music. Suga added insights into production, his passion evident as he spoke about the creative process. J-Hope shared how dance and rhythm influenced their sound. It became clear that BTS wasn't manufactured, they were creators. Their music wasn't just catchy, it was meaningful, and that meaning resonated across borders, languages, and cultures. Then came a question that made the room erupt in laughter: who is the funniest member of BTS? Jin immediately pointed at himself, of course, declaring his title as worldwide handsome with a playful confidence that drew laughter from everyone. But the others quickly chimed in, teasing each other, sharing inside jokes, and revealing glimpses of their dynamic. It was chaotic. It was hilarious. It was human, and in that moment, the global superstars felt like 7 friends sitting together, enjoying each other's company. But the questions didn't stop there. Can BTS speak English? RM answered with humility, explaining his role as the primary English speaker, while the others shared their efforts to learn and communicate with international fans. Jungkook mentioned watching American shows. Taehyung shared his love for languages. Jimin laughed about his own attempts. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be, because what mattered was the effort, the desire to connect, to reach across barriers, to communicate not just through words, but through music, emotion, and sincerity. As the interview continued, deeper questions began to emerge. What inspires BTS? The room grew quieter. Jimin spoke softly about emotions, how feelings, both good and bad, shape their music. V talked about art, about the beauty he finds in everyday moments. Suga mentioned life itself, the struggles, the pain, the growth, and then RM brought it all together. We're inspired by people, he said. People, fans, strangers, each other. It was a reminder that BTS's greatest strength isn't just their talent, it's their empathy, their ability to understand, to feel, to translate human experiences into something universal, and that's why their music doesn't just entertain, it heals. As the final questions approached, there was a sense that something special had been captured. Not just answers, but moments. Not just information, but emotion. Why do people love BTS? It was a question that could have been answered in countless ways, but instead of giving a definitive answer, the members looked at each other, smiling, almost as if acknowledging that the answer wasn't theirs to give, because the truth is, the love for BTS isn't something that can be fully explained. It's felt, it's experienced in late-night listening sessions, in tears shed over lyrics, in joy shared through performances. It's in the way their music becomes a soundtrack to people's lives. It's in the way they make people feel seen. And as the interview came to an end, there was no grand finale, no dramatic conclusion. Just 7 men, sitting together, having answered questions that millions had asked, but in doing so, they had given something more. They had given a glimpse into who they truly are, not just idols, not just celebrities, but individuals with dreams, fears, humor, and heart. And as the video spread across the internet, gaining views, likes, and comments at an incredible pace, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't just content. It was a moment in time, a snapshot of BTS at a point where they had already achieved so much, yet still remained grounded, still remained themselves. Fans watched and rewatched, catching small details, the way Jungkook smiled when others spoke, the way J-Hope's laughter filled the room, the way RM carefully chose his words. Every gesture, every expression became part of a larger story. A story that continues to evolve, because BTS isn't static, they grow, they change, they challenge themselves and their audience, and that's what keeps the world watching. As the questions faded and the screen eventually went dark, one thing lingered, a feeling. A sense that this was more than just an interview. It was a reminder of why BTS matters. Why they continue to inspire millions, why their voices, their music, and their presence have left an indelible mark on the world. And perhaps, in the end, that's the real answer to the internet's most searched question: who is BTS? They are a story still being written, and the world is still listening.